Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Disco Elysium. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're chose to join me today. Thank you so much. Ooh, we had a thing. Relax, it's not yours. You didn't crash every MC in Revachol. Wait. We missed that. Although I might have some new pants on that might allow me to actually have this, have that new pop-up show up, but we need to go to the Whirling in Rags. We're on a roll, really. Last episode we got a bunch of things. Let me see. I clicked on the wrong thing. This one I didn't actually click. I used the keyboard. We help. Oh well, we need to help Suna with her project, and she needs us to go to the ice cream maker. It's fine. Let's have a chat with this fella over here. He's got the same voice actor as our character. But I forget his voice.
Tequila Sunset.
That's his voice. Yeah, okay, here's your jacket, fresh washed.
My jacket.
Yeah, the one you had me clean the seagull shit off of? I mean, I didn't do it, but still. A look of consternation crosses the man's face. He looks at you, and then at his bottle, and then back at you.
What the fuck are you talking about, Tequila?
So you're saying this isn't your jacket?
Fawn? That's medium concept stuff. Not my style at all. I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe you should lay off the booze. It's fucking with your head.
It becomes abundantly clear to you that how this man managed to lose his keys, business, friends, and girlfriend. Does it? Our logic, it's very easy. I'm calling it's neurological, says our electrochemistry. Huh. I went through some dark shit to get this to you, or for you. Take the fucking jacket.
You know what? Fine. Maybe I can pawn it for some booze.
Aye, good thinking, says Rosemary. I do have more booze. Do I have more? I did get more booze, that's right. And we completed that quest, which is also nice. And of course, more than anything, it's experience, and that is pretty important. We also lost the jacket, and the scroll wheel is betraying me right now, but that's fine. We didn't need that jacket, it was just shivers and something else. I mean, we might have needed the jacket, but I'm gonna declare that we didn't. And we're just gonna keep moving because we need to go cross the whole town. Not too far away from the I don't actually know the name of that thing. There's tracks. This. What is that called? I don't remember. The game calls it. The game has a name for it. We should go to Frite, maybe. And turn in some bottles. And then we go... We could buy things in here as well. And then we go to the Whirling in Rags. And then after going to the Whirling in Rags, we're going to the abandoned thingy majig. Oh, look at that, Fallen. I did not notice that before. Wild Pines. There's a lot of things that eludes me for some reason before. Wait. Are things the same? Mañana. I mean, I call you Mañana, but your name is technically not Mañana. It's Call Me Mañana, I believe.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you?
Okay. I wonder if I could pick a fight with Measured Head now and get killed. Because, of course. No, wait. Didn't we get like an extra thing? Like a Punch Nazis flag or something like that? I'm not sure. Did we get... I think we got a boost to that somehow. Hey, what's up? She probably has a new thing to say today. Insert the bottles. 80 cents? That's proper rich, I am. Why are you giving me the... Oh, because the... Is that... Does that thing show up... Oh, sorry. You can't see what I'm just doing. I'm getting a pen out of the screen so I can see the thing. Anyway, I had a pen in front of the screen. Does that change when I get money? Because I think that's...
Is this about the questions again? Because I don't really know anything.
No, it's fine. She's her voice is so memorable, honestly, or not not necessarily the voice, but the performance. I find she is very characterful. I feel, but unfortunately, not many options there. So, whirling in rags. I don't expect us to need to go talk to Klaj? Hey, I don't need to talk to you, do I? There it is. That's them.
The Coppernado is back. What do you want?
I'm off. Hey. What's up? Oh, the cops. I forgot. Shut up. You don't know anything. Let's have a chat with her. Because I got her husband back.
Oh, sweetie. I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you.
It was a truly epic long-distance trek. Truly, a lot of legwork. My partner adores these kinds of things. The lieutenant is still catching his breath. Here, I want to give you a small token of my gratitude. She hands you a thin ribbon held together by a silver bird skull. It's a tie, mask in origin. The pin is an antique, quite special. And I got the 8-eyed Teratorn tie. The little silvery knob holding the tie together falls or feels warm in your hand. It's in the shape of an avian skull with 8 eyes. I not noticed this about me. Yeah, I think that was well written before, wasn't it? You never told me you have seen the Phasmid. Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings. Ramblings? Nonsense! Your description of the Phasmid is the most precise I've ever heard. But darling, I didn't even get the size of it right. You were a child, my dear. Really, it's extraordinary what you were able to describe. Now go on, tell our friend about it. He's proven his interest in the field. Reflexively, the lieutenant readies his familiar notebook. Well, it was summer, she starts. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one, many times my height, I remember. When all of a sudden... What happened? I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It's because the plant is dead. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. She shakes her head. I've never seen anything like it. The reeds turned into a creature. I didn't know this could happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. I reached my arm out, I suppose. It felt like just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. She looks at you. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds. Did you follow it? I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there, knee-deep in mud, looking around me. Where did you go? Don't go, says our inland empire. And then what? I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me. But I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys. That sort of thing. She brushes her hair back. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morel. We were on a date, can you imagine? She tells me a story, and it's the most detailed report of the Insulindian Phasmid I've ever heard. The sounds, she told me, it hissed. So that's how they met, says our suggestion. This is beyond significant for them. It did, yes. Like reeds in a gust of wind. The way it moved, the color, how some of its limbs were white like marble. It matched perfectly with what I know from other accounts. It was amazing. If it weren't for Lena, I might have given up hope years ago. It's no exaggeration to say that she restored my faith, my faith in my profession. He looks at her with admiration, forgetting a wide smile on his face. So you were on a date. I really don't feel like entertaining their blatantly goofy thing. I'll tell you my own story regarding this, because I have one. It's not a cryptid story, but I will tell you, and it'll shed some perspective into maybe you have a similar story, or maybe you know somebody who claims to have seen something like this, or some unexplained phenomenon, or something like that. Anyway, you were on a date? Oh, our first, yes. The old woman looks at her husband tenderly. The glance is tender, yes, says our drama, but tempered by something else. A thought she can't express even to him. Interesting. Thank you for sharing this with me. You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it, whenever I get one. It was just, she sighs, such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm. And she could get up and walk. Right into the reeds on her own, into the mud, anywhere, says our empathy. My empathy and my diagnostician as well. How do you know that she could walk? Wait, she could. She said yeah. I thought, yeah, she said something about that. I think she said something about that. She said she was a little girl and there was mud. She might have not been able to walk. If she's paraplegic from childhood, or from, birth, then yeah. And besides, do we know that she can't walk? Because, people who can walk also have to use wheelchairs sometimes. It depends on, there's many types of disabilities that force you to on a wheelchair, or require, well, not necessarily force you, but, require a certain amount of time. And, yeah, there's just, it's, yeah, that's all for now, ma'am.
I couldn't possibly shower thanks on you as enthusiastically as my wife has, but I am grateful for your assistance, officer.
He tries to play it cool, remain professional, but inside, this man is itching for some news of those traps. Yes, and I have news of those traps. However, I'm gonna tell you about my story with a cryptid when I was a kid. It wasn't really, not a cryptid because nobody calls it a name, but it was not a real creature. So I was probably 5, maybe 4 or 5 years old. I don't think I was at school yet. So I got into school at the age of 6. I didn't go to preschool, so that's a very easy way for me to remember when I'm thinking of childhood memories, what age I was. Mostly, if I remember it, I'm either 4 or 5, and if I don't remember it associated with the school, then I'm not 6. So there you go. Anyway, I had a t-shirt, a green t-shirt with, I think it was a hot air balloon, or a couple of hot air balloons in the front, printed in sort of that plasticky print typical of the 80s and 90s. So it was like, I liked the shirt, but it was a little bit weird for the plasticky things, because I didn't usually have those shirts. But the thing is, that shirt in particular, and other shirts that I had, would sometimes itch. They would itch inside because of, like, maybe the tag, it was not nice and I didn't like it, or maybe the, like, little bit of string was just weird and it would chafe against the skin or whatever. I would notice it sometimes. And even to this day, that's just the thing that clothes do sometimes. It just sometimes itch from the inside because of some weirdness to them. But that shirt in particular, itched a lot that day. So I was going up this particular set of stairs in my house, and I was outside. Those stairs were outside. Those are the same stairs that actually lead up to my room, and now they are inside, which is kind of fun. But the house has evolved over the years. Anyway, the point is, I was going up the stairs, and the shirt itched a lot at the back, like in the middle of my back. And I was like, oh man, this hurts like hell. It was really like, I didn't say it hurts like hell. Obviously, I was a 5-year-old, and also didn't know how to speak English. But it was just like a pincer or something, like a needle in the center of my back. And I was like, whoa, what is this? So I like reached to my lower back and pulled the shirt out a little bit, you know, how you do to sort of loosen its grip on your back, as you do if you have a t-shirt on. And I sort of reached over with my arm, and I felt something fall on my arm. And I reached over with my other arm, I should say. So, you know, it was the arm that wasn't pulling the t-shirt out. So left arm pulling the t-shirt out, right arm reaching my lower back, and something fell on my forearm. And immediately I was freaked out, but I reacted to it by pulling my arm back to a place where I could see it. And I looked down at my arm, and what I saw was a green multi-pronged little thing, weird nonsense thing that didn't look like really honestly anything, but it could have theoretically been like a really sticky, not really sticky, a really prickly cocoon of a butterfly or something. It's like some really weird, just green, and it just had black bits and things, but mostly green and just like really thorny, big bug. It was about it would be about 10 centimeters long to me right now, so I was about half my size, so it would be about 5 centimeters long, so it was pretty big for a 5-year-old. But it was still pretty big enough, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, I freaked out, and I just waved my arm around, and I never saw it again. It just completely disappeared. I looked for it, because I was like, oh, what is that? Let's look. And I didn't have any injury, so I wasn't really overly freaked out or anything, but I didn't know what it was. And I asked my dad or whoever was next to me what it was. Now, this and this happened, and you know, I saw it was like a bug with horns. And whoever I was talking to told me it must have been a leaf. And I remember to this day how it looks. I could draw you what it looked like. And at the time, I couldn't understand a leaf of that shape because it was a leaf with many horns that looked like a. First off, it was a leaf, like a 3D leaf. It was because it was the shape of a bug. It had height and it had girth and it was big, but it wasn't like one of the thorny, bulbous leaves. We didn't have anything of the sort. What it must have been was a couple of leaves actually, but at least we had some bushes that could create leaves like those if the leaf would twist under itself, and then it would create the volume. But only after many years, I say many years, I probably sort of came to the realization that it must have indeed been a leaf when I reached adulthood or something, because this memory is stuck with me forever. But only after many years, so at least 15 years after, did I actually realize that, yes, it must have been a leaf. I remember what it looks like, and that is conceivably a leaf. And of course, it was a leaf because Occam's razor. Occam's razor is I actually don't know how to explain it. A razor, if you don't know what a razor is in scientific terms, it's actually a specific thing. It's not a real razor. It is a thing that it's like a filter for a hypothesis. When you're considering an hypothesis for explanation, for a specific phenomenon, you can use what's called a razor. And a razor is basically a theorem or a principle that you apply to hypotheses. And you can say, for example, you can use the razor of no hypotheses that I can't test, for example. Like, you imagine you have a budget or you have a specific knowledge about the scientific field that you're using, or whatever it is. Or maybe you're studying historical facts, and you might not be able to test certain hypotheses. So you hypothesize a bunch of explanations for a specific phenomenon or a specific set of circumstances, because you could be studying a bunch of things, including history. It also works for history, because anyway, the thing is, you can apply a razor and you say, okay, well, I will discard all hypotheses that I can't test. And you can apply that set of razors, or that razor. You can also apply the razor of. There's two famous ones. Occam's razor is one that you probably heard of already, but the other one I don't remember. I think the other one is more useful. Occam's razor is also pretty useful, but it's sort of like, duh. But so it's not really usually considered in or at least actively considered when you're doing science because you just sort of follow it instinctively or just implied because that's good science. And the good science of what Occam's razor is that you discard, or not, it's not actually it's about discarding, but it is when you are presented with two competing hypotheses that both explain the circumstances, you should lean toward the one that has fewer assumptions. So, for example, the assumption, or what assumptions in this case, that it was indeed a leaf that I saw when I was 5 years old. What is the one assumption that that theory, or that hypothesis rather? It's the hypothesis of it being a leaf, or having been a leaf. What is the assumption that it requires? That hypothesis requires the assumption that I wasn't capable of identifying a leaf as a 5-year-old. That's a pretty reasonable assumption, but there is literally no other assumption that is required. Well, actually, there's the assumption, but it's confirmed that we had leaves around. There's the assumption that I should have had leaves around, and we had. So it's not really an assumption. On the other hand, for it to have been a bug that stung me and disappeared forever, and it was weird and doesn't look like any bug I know, and honestly, it was sort of a monster. You can see there's a lot of assumptions there. First off, that a monster a bug like that would be anywhere near here in Portugal, and near a kid. Nobody else would have seen it. I would never have seen it over the years, and it definitely left no. It didn't bite me because it hurt, but it was just because the leaf was thorny. I was sort of had little jaggedies, and that's why it sort of prickled me a little bit, but it didn't hurt, like it didn't draw blood or anything. So it's just a bunch of assumptions that needs to apply. So yeah, Occam's razor, very useful, and that's why it was definitely not an invisible pink unicorn, because the invisible pink unicorn is a pretty good test, because it sort of explains everything. Oh, sorry, it needs to be magic as well. Invisible magic, magical pink unicorn. That's not actually the example of the invisible pink unicorn is not actually a scientific thought experiment. It's a theistic thought experiment. It's used in different contexts. But anyway, let's get back to the game because I told you about my cryptid. So I checked all the traps. Good, okay. He breaks his calm. And well, one of them was empty. Completely empty? The cryptozoologist's eyes grow wide. Yes, there was nothing in the trap. No locusts, no phasmid. No locusts. Oh, it's Lena talking. No locusts, but no phasmid either. That's not ideal, but... He rubs his chin. The empty trap was the one at your campsite. Maybe this factors into it somehow? I definitely left that one stocked. Right from the campsite, says Lena. The old woman's face lights up. It just means that the Insulindian phasmid is even more clever than we thought. She's engaging in a well-known self-deception called motivated reasoning. That is... I don't know that. I mean, I know... I have heard of this. I know it's... I can... If you don't know what it is, I can explain, but... I don't know. This is a... Oh, what is it? It's the other type of fallacy. The one that you never worry about, because these are the hard ones and actually less useful. So, logical fallacies are sort of mathematical imperatives, in the sense that they can be... The arguments can be transformed into mathematical equations, and they just show that it doesn't compute. Those are, stuff like... ad hominem, that's the famous one, and ad verecundium. That one has the coolest name, and it's also very often used. It's the appeal to truth. Ad populus. The one that many people agree with me, so I must be right. That's the other one. The appeal to truth is actually a little bit weird because it's the one where I believe it is the one that you say, look at this person who is an expert. They believe this thing, so it must be true. That's the appeal to truth. Actually, is it? Because that should be the appeal to power. No, the appeal to power is a different thing. But anyway, there's a bunch of... they have fancy names, and it's for people who care about that stuff. They're Logical fallacies. But this is the other type of fallacy, the one that I didn't study, because I didn't have that class in high school, and that's basically where I know most of my fallacies from. You should correct them. So, well, you know, even fallacies can, you know, you can use a fallacy and not be wrong, actually. But then again, our rhetoric wouldn't necessarily know that, because rhetoric isn't used for achieving truth. It is used to convey messages, or convince people of your message, because that's a different thing. But yeah, you can use fallacy. That's actually an interesting manipulation technique. You just make yourself look the fool, and you make sure that other people don't believe what you believe, because you are the fool. And then you have the upper hand because they are dumb and they don't believe what you believe. Unless, of course, what you believe is wrong, in which case you're dumb, but secretly you're dumb. So you don't know that because you think you're right. So in your head, you're right. So you're not dumb and they're dumb. You know what I mean? Anyway, of course, the detective whispers to himself, more clever. You're dealing with, our suggestion says, you're dealing with a subject near and dear to their heart. It might behoove you to tread lightly. It behooves me to end the episode here because I'm out of time for the day, but we're just going to continue this in the next episode. For right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Disco Elysium. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later, but above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.